Hey guys, it's Jim, and it's time for a quick discussion on Baz Luhrmann's Elvis, which is of course the latest musical biopic. You've got many musical biopics that have come out. For me, this is the pinnacle of it. I think this is an incredible film. I think this is the best musical biopic. I prefer it to Bohemian Rhapsody. I prefer it to Rocket Man. I vastly prefer it to the David Bowie biopic Stardust, which still gives me shudders whenever I think about it.
David Bowie.
I think one of the best things about Elvis is Austin Butler is stunning in the role. I mean, Austin Butler's kind of an unknown actor, and he's just kind of finding his feet in the film world, but to make such a dramatic, incredible performance, this is Oscar-worthy stuff. This is probably the best depiction of a musical, figure. I feel like all the musical biopics were kind of building to this, building up and up. Rocket Man was the one that I thought was actually pretty good. This is just what you want. If you want a musical biopic that's going to pay tribute to such an icon, this is what you want. He wraps us up in Elvis's energy and Elvis's flair and Elvis's swagger. He gets all the visual mannerisms of Elvis down. He gets everything down. It's incredible how much he gets down, how accurate he is to Elvis, young and old. And I feel like Austin Butler is a special talent. I feel like the voice is perfect. I feel like, as I say, the performances, he really gets the Elvis electricity. You forget you're watching an actor, you do feel like you're watching Elvis. I don't feel like we could get much closer. And I know there are some, there's a film where Kurt Russell plays Elvis. Yes, Snake Plissken himself, from Escape from New York, plays Elvis. And I'm interested to watch that, because it's actually directed by the Halloween director, John Carpenter, which is an incredible little fact. And he'd done it after Halloween, which is just so random. So maybe that is, good. I would like to see Kurt Russell as Elvis, but it's going to take a lot to beat Austin Butler here. I think this is the authenticity of the performance, the electricity of it, but the humanity of it. Elvis feels like a human being, but a human being with these incredible, almost supernatural powers. The film really does focus on the way that Elvis transformed the world, scared the world, intimidated the world, entertained the world, enthralled the world, terrified the world. It's a real discussion of the way that Elvis nothing was the same again once Elvis had come into the fold. I feel like Baz Luhrmann's editing style's phenomenal in this. It's a real trippy editing style. It's all over the place, and it's kind of extravagant and almost surrealist at times, but it does give the film a real majesty and a real over-the-top flair, and you want that with Elvis. And very unpredictable, which is great, because you really feel it's so hard. It would have been such an intimidating thing to make a film about Elvis, to depict that music, that magic that he had, that scary aura that he had, and make the film in such a way where you pull that off. And I think Baz Luhrmann's approach with his editing style, his fast, visuals, and his kind of the way you're kind of being carried through the film and kind of transported from one surrealist kind of block of progress to the next. It's you never know how the film's going to take you from one scene to the next. There's just incredible transitions in this. It makes you feel like you don't know what's going on, and the world didn't know what was going on with Elvis. They really didn't. So it keeps that unpredictability, and it keeps that aura, just a constant burning kind of underlying feeling of this man taking over the world in this film. And Baz Luhrmann deserves so much respect for pulling off that feeling, and Tom Hanks is also in the film, of course, as Elvis's manager. It's kind of, the film is about the relationship between Elvis and his manager. I've heard a lot of people say that Tom Hanks is a bit campy in this. For me, it was good to see him kind of in a different sort of role, a bit more darker than we've seen. But this is a complicated character. I do feel like Tom Hanks, I don't know, I really love the performance, but if anyone's doing something that everyone else isn't doing in the film, it's Tom Hanks, if that makes sense. I think it's very impressive the way that Baz Luhrmann can be so over the top with his direction, but everyone feels very grounded in the film, even Elvis. Even when he's having these moments of just taking over the world, he still feels like a human being, whereas Tom Hanks is a fantastic performance as Elvis's manager, and you really get drawn into their relationship and you really get emotionally affected. But I think there were just certain moments of Tom Hanks' performance, certain cadences and the way he delivers, where he could have done it in a different way, is all I'll say. I still think it's a great performance. I still think he transforms. I still think this is the sort of role I want to see Tom Hanks doing more. It's a very experimental role for Tom Hanks. Just could have been reeled in a little bit more. I feel like he's a strength in the film, but he's also a negative in a lot of ways. But he's unrecognisable, which is good, because Tom Hanks, you can always recognise him in films, and he's got a bit samey. He's not in this, you know, and it's... I didn't know the story of Elvis and his manager, so it's very disturbing. And I feel like the film first starts off, obviously, with this real positive energy of him taking over the world and unpredictability. The downfall of Elvis and the way things turn around is just uncompromising. The dark and uncompromising scenes in this are just that. You know, the film doesn't let you off the hook. It's not just a fun biopic. It starts off like that, and it just goes completely honest. It's so honest. It really is. It doesn't cut any corners. It's showing you in all uncompromising glory the way that Elvis went downhill, and the story of how Elvis and his manager really started to butt heads and things started to go wrong. And it's just, you know, and again, he's still trying to prop up that Elvis figure during this time, and that's really disturbing. The way it's like, you know, this was kind of the beginning. Elvis was kind of the beginning of those near the end of their career. Lots of celebrities who went downhill, where they were still trying to keep that sparkle going and keep that character going without protecting their own human heart, without protecting their own soul, etc. You know, Elvis wasn't looking after himself, and it's almost like the man becomes less of a man as the film goes on and becomes just this caricature. And I love films that discuss that, because Elvis in real life, and in obviously shown in this film, is a great example of that, how the idea of Elvis became bigger than the man and kind of robbed him of his humanity, which is a terrifying thing, to not have the chance to be looked after, to not have the chance to be human, but just be, you were just this product. Elvis was kind of the beginning of that, the toxic way that can happen with celebrities. And you know, a lot of people in the world don't feel sorry for celebrities because they're rich, etc. But if this does start to happen to celebrities, I do feel sorry for them, because it's a stripping away of humanity, and it would be so lonely. Elvis's loneliness really starts to come to the forefront, and Elvis's confusion with only knowing what he's become and losing who he was and who he is. That would be scary. That's when I do feel sorry for celebrities, when they're caught up in this life that's kind of stripping away everything about them. And it shows that becoming this massive sensation, having money, etc., sometimes isn't all it's cracked up to be. Elvis dominated the world, but he ended up such a lonely, defeated man. And that's very telling. That's a very interesting idea. So it's a film that doesn't pull any punches. It's an incredibly well-directed film. Austin Butler is stunning. I feel like the performance just gets better and better as the film goes on. The way that he then tackles Elvis in later life, the more honest desperation of Elvis, Austin Butler does incredible. And Austin Butler outacts Tom Hanks, and Tom Hanks is great. That says all I can say about Austin Butler. What a sensational talent this guy is. He couldn't have done better. He couldn't have done better. Have any of you guys seen Elvis? Let me know in the comments. I think it's one of the best films. I think it's probably the best film of this year. I think it's the best biopic, music biopic that we've had so far. I think it's just stunning. So let me know what you think of Elvis. I really want to discuss it with you guys in the comments. Please subscribe if you enjoy my channel. I'll see you guys next time.